Falcons have been unquestionably one of the most successful teams of the year, with a win at PGL Bucharest and 3 second place finishes. Since the arrival of Monday, they have been right up there challenging the likes of Vitality. But at the Major, they found themselves winning only a single game, as well as losing 3 times to teams well below their pedigree. So what went wrong? Today we'll dive into more detail and try to figure out how such a catastrophe can happen to such a promising team. But first, a word from today's sponsor, Skinland. Skinland is one of the easiest and fastest ways to buy or sell CS skins for real money. Selling your skins? Get instant payouts with Skinland's instant sales service. Just set your trade link, pick your items, choose a payment method, confirm the trade, and boom, your money is on the way in minutes. You even get a $10 bonus if you sell over $100 worth of skins when you use promo code ASH. Looking to buy a skin? Skinland has better prices than Steam and one of the largest skin collections out there, so you'll always find what you're looking for. Plus, the site supports tons of payment methods, making deposits fast and simple. And here's a pro tip: bookmark Skinland so it's always a click away when you want to buy or cash out. Check out the link in the description and use code ASH to grab that $10 bonus and start trading quicker with Skinland. Let's have a quick look into some of his form prior to the Major. Since Monday joined on the 14th of April, Falcons have won 10 series and lost 5, which doesn't sound that impressive, but 2 of those losses are in grand finals alone to Vitality, and another 2 are also to Vitality. The other team that they've lost it in 15 series is Mousesports, arguably the second best team of the year. That's second place at Blast Rivals, second place at IEM Melbourne, and third to fourth place at IEM Dallas. So absolutely no outright fails at all, bearing in mind the lack of practice they've had and not the millions upon millions of dollars spent. This then raised the fan expectations, so almost everybody had them at 3-0 in their pick'ems, only to then see them go out 1-3, losing to Linvision, MIBR, Bait, and only just squeezing past OG. And no disrespect to any of those teams, but Falcons shouldn't really be dropping a map here. In fact, the only teams that Falcons have lost a map to at all prior to this event are Mousesports, Vitality, Heroic Spirit, Navi, and my team Gamerlegion, and in 4 of those series they went on to win 2-1 anyway. So how did this happen? I think to figure this out, the easiest way to come to conclusions would be through some comparisons. What was going right for them then before, but lacked at this event? And actually there are quite a few things that do stand out. Firstly, their pistol stats at this event was simply horrible, only winning 3 out of 13 pistols at a win rate of under 19%, compared to the 50% that they've had since adding Monacy. There were some significant drop-offs individually when it came to looking into those stats, with only Kixan and Magisk staying near their usual numbers, and the 3-star players having mega drop-offs. The sample size isn't that great, but this is something that they usually won't have been used to. Especially in MR12, pistol rounds have a monumental importance. And at this event, they got off to a terrible start on almost every map, which is a win condition that barely existed for them in Austin. And even worse, in 2 of those 3 pistol wins, they went on to lose a second round. But they did win quite a few forces of their own, but what I'm getting at here is that a lack of game control was really apparent when you look at this overall picture. The second big difference has to be Nuke. Nuke has been a solid map for Falcons for basically the entire year, and one of the main reasons for this has been their super reliable T-side. And statistically, they have been one of the better teams in the world, even if they're not quite up there at the very top. At this event, however, T-side Nuke was a total disaster, and it's actually much worse than the numbers even make it seem. They played Nuke 3 times and played 34 out of 36 possible T-side rounds, but they would only go on to win 27%, which on average would give you a 3-9 scoreline if you sustain this 27%. The reason though that it is worse than it sounds is because if you look at the teams that they lost to here and their results on Nuke, it looks like it should be the most free win of the year for them. Both Linvision and MIBR are really poor on Nuke, and both of them are frequently losing to teams even in their own region. The scary part is that after that game against Linvision, Call Me Sue praised their coach and said that they basically knew what Falcons would be doing 90% of the time. If this really is the case, then you have to wonder how their preparation could be so accurate unless Falcons had neglected it for this part of the Major. Had things really changed so little that a team with those Nuke results could know exactly what a team like Falcons would do in so many situations? I decided to look into this game, and it really did seem that they had a great idea mostly on what would happen on their CT sides. When they saw a delayed outside wall, they played the most minimal lower defense possible, as though we saw it as a bluff and instead focused heavily on A and ramp. We see on this first buy round that nobody even bothers to go lower, and that means that they have a bonus player to stack on ramp which helps them get 4 kills. In fact, on the 2 rounds that they won, one of them, Magisk, luckily spans West Melon through the smoke as he moves towards the vent, and in the other they go into a 4-man heavy A stack and simply out-aim them. If we look deeper into this round, you'll notice that Linvision again don't even care about this double wall outside, only sending 1 player down very delayed, and he blocks it in a way that he can help A quickly and come back up the vent, where they already had 3 players. In their last 3 games on Nuke, I saw a serious lack of outplaying going on from Falcons, and this meant that sending only 1 player down the vent to block Secret would totally kill any ideas that Falcons had. it was flat. There was very little adaptation going on, and even against a lower level of opposition with this map form like we've discussed, they got exploited. There's also rounds like this against MIBR where it's just inexcusable for Lukowski to be winning this one on his own when they make a great call and they rush 4-on-1 into the A-bomb site and all die. Thirdly, clutches. When you think of Falcons, you think of Nico and Monesi winning great clutches, with just being the anchor who wins a lot of his 1v1s and 1v2s, and everyone chipping in being able to win the unwinnable. At this event, combined, they won 0 1v2s and 3 out of 10 1v1s. Bearing in mind also that this is what HLTV classes a 1v1, where it's a 2 versus 1 in your favour, and then your teammate dies. So when 1v1s are all 2v1s at some point, it is expected that every player has a significantly over 50% win rate, due to the information gained from your newly dead teammate. They won 30% of them as a team, and not a single 1v2 or 1v3 for the whole 8 maps. This is genuinely staggering. MIBR actually won 8 clutches in this series against Falcons alone, almost triple what Falcons won for the entire event. The problem with losing clutches is it usually implies that you've thrown away a round that you should have won, and usually this will balance itself out if the teams are of a similar skill level, or it leans heavily in your favour if you are stronger. The clutch factor simply did not exist for Falcons. They lost lots of rounds that they should have won, and won almost no rounds that they should have lost. Take this round for example. This is a 100% Falcons round win. They make a great call to dive down the vents in a 4v3 and go into an empty B bomb site. Monesi is holding the vent so they can't rotate down at all, so all Falcons have to do here is plant and look towards the ramp. But somehow the vent isn't actually being watched, and Bernarson sneaks down it whilst Monesi is right there and wins pretty much an impossible 1v3, with Kixan even missing him in the back. By now we've all seen the infamous 3v5B retake on Inferno against MIBR, but it really wasn't a one-off for them here. These clutches and mistakes just kept happening, and here we see a 3v2 A retake where Falcons mastermind a great retake, and then Magisk simply doesn't smoke the bomb, leading to OG feeling very little pressure and getting enough time to outplay them. This is basically a full rookie team outplaying some of the most experienced players in the entire game. Is this enough in itself to lose? I think it isn't, and even with these poor starts and losing so many swing rounds with the clutches, they still even managed to win one of their 3 nuke games, and this is one of the biggest drop-offs like we just mentioned. Personally, I am a massive hater of best of ones. Pistols, clutches, and pressure often make them into an almost random brawl of which players feel less affected, and they lost both of them. And even though these players are very experienced and very highly paid, they are still human, and undoubtedly they felt the pressure. This pressure gets amplified for many reasons. Firstly, the history of Falcons at the majors. Their expectations will be there to compete to win the entire thing. The history so far has been of total failure at each major they have attempted. You'll see this trend even in real life sports. Teams will go decades without winning against a specific team, being unable to win despite being good enough, or choking repeatedly in the same scenarios. For them, it feels like a curse, and it happens even when none of the original players of those scenarios even remain there. There have been frequent rumours of Kyosuke, however you say it, joining the roster, and a potential of up to 2 players being removed, and there is no way that this added pressure cannot be playing a part. Imagine being in a team where you know you'll have a new teammate in the future, and knowing that they'll also replace you if you fail to keep performing. These rumours exist whilst Falcons are even succeeding at these events like we talked about earlier. The pressure is never ending. It's got to also be said that some of the player decision making and tactical decisions were inexcusably poor at times. For example, this force buy they played against OG. Magisk kills a T searching on B before he's able to confirm how many players are really on B. As this was happening, OG was searching into a 4-man A stack on A, but after Magisk's kill on B, Nico takes a duel from ramp and dies. This is important because he likely wouldn't be playing ramp if he'd been the only player on A. He would be more hidden. This piece of information is enough for OG to change their entire plan and collapse on Magisk at the weaker B side. If Falcons hid on A and invited them in, OG would have seemingly taken the bait. This Falcons side has eliminated my team 3 times in playoff this year, so trust me, they are really, really good, and I rate them unbelievably highly. I haven't seen any situations like this one in those games. It feels like here they have the perfect read, amazing positions, and the place blocked where they want the other team to come. It could not be more perfect for a 4v5, and they got 0 kills against the B split. In fact, their only kill in this round is from their solo A player, and this is just so out of character for them. There were some rounds still that I did like, and it seemed like on Nuke, once they started playing them more aggressively and a bit more loosely, that it created so much space that they could really flourish with their experience and their decision making. Here we see Nico making a play outside and finding that entry. Tesses immediately reacts, he pushes into the space, whilst Nico joins his 2 teammates in secret. Magisk anticipates a reaction and falls back in lobby, which means he can punish the info play and then the rest of the team can react into an empty bomb site, with Testes clearing ramp. This is a top level reaction from a top level team, coming from the result of a basic move from Nico. And because I am a lover of top level Counter-Strike, I thought I'd share this one final round here against Falcons of how perfectly a 3v5 can be played by MIBR. MIBR played great in this game. I saw so many examples of them exploding when the opportunity was there, and on the A bomb site they just killed m0NESY and Magisk over and over just way too easily. But here in this round, everything falls apart in an instant. Bernazan plays too quickly in apartments, and that means that his teammates can't react quickly enough to the app setup and turn into a B pop. So when they do try to react, Insani gets picked off also. Lukowski reacts so quickly here, but the way these three play together is exceptional. Lukowski throws a pressure smoke up middle, and this is because usually a team plays 2 in apartments, they have a huge weakness towards long, and he exploits that, but anticipating that the CTs will cover this gap with their rotations and peeking shots. What I love about this though, is that his teammates respond so quickly to create extra space for him by sprinting around and even throwing a lurk smoke. Lukowski finds a kill. Safi makes a great play onto the site player, and then they even have the presence of mind to fake running away from B to bait the second B player to push. This was absolutely top tier gameplay, and it shows the level of teamwork that happens at the highest level. Let me know in the comments if you enjoyed this video, and if you did, I would really appreciate it if you subscribe. Thank you for watching, and as always, I'll see you next time.